Parents, as soon as the kids come, they will say, "Oh, when is their performance? Are they going to be performing?" I tell them that definitely they need to have patience for the kids to get the time to learn, practice, and then persevere with it as well. So, because in 2 years, if they don't perform, then the parents are like, okay, this is not the art form for them, then they will move on to something else. So, I feel like all of the aspects require, to an extent, some inner strength on every woman's part. It is not just me. Women take on a lot of things, too many things sometimes. So we all have the inner strength actually. So
We just need to
has
tap
come
into
out.
it. Welcome back to Built by Grit, the show where we dive into the stories of people who rise, rebuild, and keep showing up no matter what life throws at them. Today's episode brings us a very special guest, someone whose journey embodies grace, strength, and fierce determination. Savita Rao is a Bay Area based Carnatic vocalist, teacher, and known for her deeply emotive performances and her commitment to keeping tradition alive through modern expression. Whether she is performing on stage, conducting workshops, or nurturing the next generation musicians, Savita brings a rare blend of discipline, devotion, and joy to everything she does. I have had the privilege of watching her work up close, and one thing stands out every time is her grit. Her ability to reinvent, evolve, and stay anchored in classical purity is truly inspiring. In today's conversation, we explore her early beginnings, the mentors who shaped her, the challenges she overcame, and the mindset that fuels her artistry today. It's a conversation filled with warmth, wisdom, and so many insights for anyone pursuing mastery, whether in music or in life. So settle in, take a deep breath, and let's get ready to get inspired. Here's my conversation with incredibly talented and ever resilient Savita Rao. Welcome to the show, Savita.
Thank you so much, Deepa. And thanks for the lovely introduction. That is wonderful.
Savita, can you introduce us to your musical lineage, your first guru, and those who defined your musical career?
Definitely. My first guru is my mother, Srimati Kannamma Kodandaraman. I started music with her at an age, I don't even remember what age it was because it was so natural. And I think it must have been somewhere between the ages of 5 to 7. So I started my musical journey with her, and she took me a long way. She's a student of the great Professor Sadagopan from Delhi, a very renowned musicologist and a musician. And she is a Sangeeta Shiromani from the Delhi University. So that is her lineage, which she imparted to me until I got a scholarship from CCRT in Delhi, after which I also continued learning from Professor T.R. Subramaniam, a very renowned Sangeeta Kalanidhi, Professor T.R. Subramaniam. He was a Ragam Tanam Pallavi exponent, and his Shishya, Dr. Radha Venkatachalam. So he hails from Musiri Subramaniya Parampara.
Okay.
Yeah. So Professor Subramaniam and Radha ma'am both have had a profound impact on my music. I actually got very serious about music after I started learning from them, because with your mother, it's always at home, and you don't realize how much it means to you until you start going outside. So
Absolutely.
that is basically how I started off with music.
That's fantastic. Thank you. Savita, when you look back at your childhood, what was the first moment you realized music wasn't just a skill, but a lifelong commitment?
I don't think I actually realized in my childhood. As children, you just, you're very playful and you just do what your parents want you to do. And that's about it. So I just
Not
learned
these days.
music was, not these days. You're right. I think times have changed. But when I learned music with my mother, it was just something that we did because music was always there at home. So without any question, we would just, whenever Amma would teach, I would sing, and that's about it. So I thought it's another thing that everybody does. And then I think I became more of a serious thing for me when I started learning from TRS Mama and Radha ma'am. Because I was doing my master's at the time. They made me take my master's exam. It was called Alankar Purna.
Okay.
So it was an equivalent of a master's degree in Carnatic music. I learned a lot of theory and more advanced concepts like Ragam Tanam Pallavi. So that made me sit up and take notice. Okay, oh, all right, this is now more complicated, and I have to put in work. And so I think that is when I probably realized that it was more than just learning a skill. It is more of a way of life for me.
Yeah, it's totally a lifestyle, right?
Yes, yes.
I'd have somewhat already touched on this next question that I was planning on asking. What was the earliest challenge that truly tested your determination as a learner?
So as a child, the earliest memory I have is when we used to sing in children's program. So my mother would curate a 5-minute performance for
Hmm.
me. My sister would play the violin for me, Sandhya Srina, and my brother Suresh. He used to play the mridangam for me. So we would go for this children's program. It was a live performance, and so we would yes. So in a children's program, it would be a 5-minute segment where we would sing. So my mother will make me sing a small ragam, kirtane, and some swaram for it. So it would be very concise, very small 5-minute performance. And I used to be nervous every single time. So
Mm.
one time, I think I remember. I remember I was supposed to sing a Todi Kirtane, and I started
Uh-huh.
singing Valaji Ragam for some reason. I think in all that nervousness, I think that was the first time I was like shocked. And I was like, I didn't know what to do because it was live. People were listening. My
Oh,
sister, my
wow.
party at home, everybody was listening. And I think that was the time my sister, thankfully, she slowly got me back into Tori. So, so that was the first time I think I was really challenged. And because before that, I was just learning at home. And that was the time I was like, okay, I've got to be more careful.
Uh-huh.
So that is one memory I have. Another time I think I was really challenged was my first concert.
Mm.
It was a, I think, 2-hour concert. I was about 10 or 11 years old. I think probably 10 years old. So that was another time I was really challenged, and
Of
I
course, a
said, okay, I
10-year-old,
have
I
to
cannot
push it now.
imagine. That's great. That's fantastic. So, I was thinking, like the great gurus leave lasting impressions on all of us. I could say that about you to me, like you being my guru. Who in your formative years demanded the most from you, and how did that intensity kind of like define your discipline that you have right now?
I would say each one of them demanded in a different way. My mother, being my mom and my guru,
Hmm.
had a lot of expectations from me, and it was her effort and the demands that she put in me that made me move up to a position where I was even able to be a Shishya of Sri T.R. Subramaniam and Radha ma'am.
Mm.
So that in that way she pushed me a lot to be better, to practice,
Right.
and as a result I was able to even start learning from TRS Mama. Radha ma'am and TRS Mama actually in their own way they pushed me in a different way. TRS Mama usually very very encouraging, such a nice person. He would not be like you have to sing this. If he would teach a sangati, if you teach a line, we would have to sing it like 40, 50 times until we get it right.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
that itself, but he would never be like, okay, you're doing it wrong, or never scolded anybody. In a very, very nice manner, he would guide us. And that was in another way he would demand in a different way. Radha ma'am was totally different in her style of teaching. So all gurus in their own way, I won't say demanded, but yes, guided us through this so that we are what we are because of them today.
And I can see that some of that characteristics already is flowing through to your current generation of students, right? I used to wonder, why are you not strict with us?
Unfortunately, I cannot be very strict. I am sometimes. I'm sure some of my students would beg to differ from your opinion.
Awesome.
So, I mean, everybody, I guess, develops their own methodology.
Correct.
Obviously, the guru's thing will always be there in you to some extent.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They influence you so much.
Absolutely, yeah.
Great. So, people see the beauty of Carnatic music, right? But not necessarily the hours behind it. Like in your learning years, I'm sure you did several hours of grueling practice. What did your typical day look like if you can go back to your childhood days? Like, just walk us through
Sure.
those.
Yeah, great question. Actually, my first learning was very unconventional.
Mm-hmm.
With my mother. I was never sent to a class as such, right? Because my mom would teach me in a very different way. I never started with Sarali Varisi, Janta Varisi. I was directly, I think I The first time I learned anything was because I had to go for a competition, Bharatiyar
Competition.
competition. So my mother was just trying it out. She had not even started teaching me at that point. So she would teach me while braiding my hair. I would be riding my bike in the courtyard and singing. In fact, I learned Jagadananda Karaka and
Wow.
Sadinchane just like that. So never had any notes or books. And in all those years that I learned from my mother, I never wrote anything down. As far as practice is concerned, there was not a separate sit down practice. It was
Mm.
always at some point I will be singing with my mother. So
Mm.
I didn't know that I had to sit down and practice separately because it was always there.
Right,
And then
right.
I realized the importance of practice when after things started getting more and more complex. When I started learning Ragam Tanam Pallavi, complex kritis, and a lot of theory. So when
Mm-hmm.
I started learning all those things, and that is when I actually started putting in practice,
Mm.
because it was also some fear in you that, okay, new teacher, when you go to the next class, you have to master it. You have to know what she taught
Mm-hmm.
you. So I had never learned from anyone outside before, so that kind of made me sit up and start practicing. But I do remember about a period of a year and a half, when I would do a rigorous akaram every
Mm.
day.
Mm.
I think whatever my gamakams have developed, whatever my voice is right now, is probably because of those years that I put in at that point
Yeah,
in my
makes a lot of
childhood.
sense.
So that the effect is still there of those years of practice.
And on
Yeah.
that note, can you probably sing a little something for us?
I would like to probably sing just the Pallavi of a Kriti that really is very dear to my heart.
Sure,
Shri
please.
Valli Devasenapate in Natabhairavi. Mm. श्रीवल्ली देवसेनापते श्री सुब्रह्मण्य नमोस्तुते श्रीवल्ली देवसेनापते श्री सुब्रह्मण्य नमोऽस्तु ते श्रीवल्ली देवसेनापते श्रीसुब्रह्मण्य नमोऽस्तु ते श्रीवल्ली देवसेनापते.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much for singing. Along the same lines, on the days when you don't feel like practicing, even now, I know that you have to learn new songs, teach the new songs to the kids.
Yes.
Challenges being thrown at you all the time. And
Yeah.
I'm sure there are days where you don't feel like, oh, I really don't want to practice today. But how do you handle those days? What keeps you going?
Sure. Actually, let me tell you my mom's story about this.
Yes, please.
So I try to follow that. So what she would tell me is, when she was young and she would be coming back from college or after work, to sit down and practice would be like, I'm so tired today. I'm so tired. I don't want to sing. But then she will tell herself, okay, today I will just sit down and sing for like 5 minutes,
Hmm.
and then just 5 minute practice. I will just sit down. So she would say, especially those days, once those 5 minutes goes by, 10 minutes goes by, and then you get into the mood, that day the practice will be for an hour or 2 hours. So that starting is always the problem. So if you tell yourself, start small, and then
Hmm.
it will build, and then you will get that interest, you will get that motivation. And I try to follow that. So that's what my mom says. I used to start small, and then that day the practice would go on for hours. So I try to emulate that.
That's actually an amazing answer. And I think that applies to not just music, right? Anything that you
Yes,
want to do in life.
absolutely.
And it's
Yes.
just start, don't overthink
Yeah,
it.
I
And
tell my
then,
children the same thing. Yes.
great answer. I appreciate that. Was there any moment when you felt like quitting, or if at all that happened? I'm not sure. But if that happened, what pulled you back into music?
There were many times that not quitting really, but I was unable to continue. So there were many times that I stopped and I had to restart. But there was at one point my voice, I had a lot of issues with my vocal cords, and at that time I really was like, okay, I'm never going to be able to sing again. And it was a very low period in my life
Hmm.
as far as music is concerned. So I used to, but other times when I moved from India to the US,
Hmm.
I actually at that time I did a lot of concerts in the East Coast, in and around Maryland, Pittsburgh, and all those places. But after that, I started on my master's degree, and at that time, I think for the 2 years I did not practice much, and it was very busy. I didn't practice very much, and I was not performing. This was in Dallas, and then after that, I think I had to restart when I moved to Boston after I got
Hmm.
married. So I restarted again. And then there was again another break when I came to California and my voice was not in great shape. I stopped, and after 3 4 years I restarted. So there were periods when I had to kind of restart after a break. But I don't think apart from that one or two times, I've never thought of quitting music very seriously at all.
Mm.
It was always like, okay,
Right.
I'm going to sing someday, you know. So
And
that's always been there. Yeah.
I would like to come back to your, the voice challenges towards the later part of the interview. But before we go there, in addition to being a teacher, you are also a performer. You have done several concerts. I have personally attended many of them myself. And you also sing to dance
Yes.
performances and arangetrams. I
Yeah.
would love to learn about your, defining moments during performances. Can you share a performance moment where everything almost fell apart, but determination carried you through? And what was that? A situation on the stage, if you had any.
Yes, definitely. I think all Carnatic musicians have that kind of situation at some point because our music has so much manodharma,
Hmm.
improvisation. It's very difficult to for it to be perfect. But I do remember a dance performance where I totally messed up. But then again, thankfully, it didn't fall apart completely. So I completely missed a segment because it was going so
Wow.
fast. And it was a guru's performance. I mean, there were multiple gurus performing, and I was singing with somebody. So there was some confusion on whether he's going to sing something. So whatever happened, that one whole segment where they were still dancing got left out. So we were like, we didn't know what to do. We were looking at each other, and then thankfully, I caught on to the start of the next segment and I continued. And the teachers, they were gracious enough to come and tell me that it's not my fault. I was like so embarrassed. But thankfully, not many people noticed because they
Noticed.
continued dancing. Thankfully, it was gurus, so they could adjust. If it was
Mm,
a
mm,
child doing arangetram, it would have been a different story.
right,
Thankfully, nothing like that has happened after that. This was way back when I was much younger.
right, right.
And for in concerts, yes, definitely. When you do manodharmam, there is always a chance that something will not come in place. You are doing swaram, something is not falling. Those things happen. But if you just keep, you cannot get hung up on that. So you need to move on and not think about what happened and just keep moving on to the next part of the kirtana or next part of the concert.
That's a skill in itself, right? Like to be
Yes,
able to
absolutely.
continue on the stage without
Yes,
faltering, right?
yes, definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah, great, great. So, I want to slightly shift our focus a little bit. As a woman navigating family, as a mother of twin kids, and now you have a career as a musician. Um, where did you need the most inner strength in your life journey? Was there a time when your musical dreams had to wait because of something else that
Oh,
overtook your life?
definitely. Yes. It was probably around the time when my kids were born. I was also working full time at MIT.
Hmm.
So that was going on. And then I was singing for some dance performances. And I was like pregnant with the twins. And so there was like too many things on my plate. So definitely it required a lot of, and parents' help was not there because, in the US, they can only stay for so many days, right? So they were waiting to
Hmm.
come after the kids were born. So not much help and a lot of things going on at the same time. So definitely needed a lot of support. And of course, my husband's support was there. Thankfully, that carried me through quite a lot of it. But yes, you definitely need the perseverance, the inner strength.
Yeah.
to carry you through situations like that. So I feel like all of the aspects require, to an extent, some inner strength on every woman's part. It is not
Yes.
just me. Women take on a lot of things, too many things sometimes. So we all have the inner strength actually. So we
We just need
just
to
has to
tap
come
into
out.
it. Yeah, we just need to tap into it, right? It's already there. That's awesome. So I was thinking that you did mention that you had some throat issues, and you also had to sometimes stop and restart your musical journey.
Yes.
So how did you rebuild yourself after those moments? Like, what was the process like for you? How did you figure that out?
Sure. Yeah. So the earlier part when I had to stop and restart was not entirely due to the vocal issues. So that was just life taking over, moving from India to the US and from one place to another. So I moved from Dallas to Maryland and then to Boston. So all of that, and just got married and moved to Boston. So initial days of, being in Boston. So all of that was every time I would have to put a stop to it, form new connections, have find the music community in any place that you are in. So all of that happened, but I think the major stop was when I moved to California.
Mm,
So that is the time I suddenly just could not. Even when I was speaking, it was very hoarse.
oh.
My kids were just babies; they were like, a year and a half old. So I think I was talking a lot. I was doing a
Mm,
lot of stress as well at that time. I could not talk for a long time. I thought it was just a cold, and then I went
mm,
and got it checked. So there were some nodules, polyps in my vocal cords, and then that kind of lasted for a long time. And then that is the time I told you, right? I was a little, almost thinking of quitting music. In the sense, I was thinking I'm never going to sing again. But slowly, I went for some voice therapy, some vocal
mm,
lessons, and that kind of made it slightly better. But it was only after I started classes, I
mm,
started teaching little kids, and slowly my school grew, and I discovered that I'm able to somehow handle it to a certain extent. The voice is not again back to its old self even now, actually, but I'm able to manage it along with some concerts and singing for dance arangetrams. So each day is different. So I just try to see, how to handle it with proper care. So
right.
that's what I'm doing. So it was a gradual process rebuilding it. It was not overnight for sure.
Right, right. So when you were going through that, that's thanks for sharing that story, by the way, because I think a lot of people will resonate with this because like a lot of us have some physical limitations, and as a result,
Yeah.
we tend to give up. There is no need to give up something like music. It is such a spiritual journey, right?
Right.
For even if you have physical challenges, you don't have to sing for an audience. Sing for yourself, at
Yes.
least.
Actually, my parents were a big source of encouragement during that time. My mom and my father, who's also been a great supporter. He's been my ardent fan of all his children's performances. He used to be our audience number one. So both of them used to encourage me. And when I would say that I'm never going to sing again, my mom would be like, "No, you're definitely going to sing again. I know for sure you're going to sing again." No, all that those words really encouraged me.
Absolutely. That's awesome. You have a music school in California. It's called Anuswara, right?
Yes,
And you have
Anuswara
been
School of Music.
music.
Yes,
You have been teaching young kids. Carnatic music is not easy, let's be honest. It's not like any other music. I have
definitely.
personally
Yes.
experienced it. What values do you try to build in them beyond just music in the kids that come to your class?
Sure. Great question. This is actually very close to my heart. The question is, I definitely do believe in imparting not just singing it's not like a business transaction, Vocal music is very sacred. So we've had for centuries ago Guru Shishya Parampara, where Shishyas would go and live in a Gurukulam with the Guru and learn these art forms. So it is definitely, the Gurus were treated like gods. That respect that you give the guru in those days used to mean a lot. So here, definitely, we don't treat it as just any other class. I try to, during Vijay Dashami, for example, have the kids come and take the gods and gurus' blessings and learn something new. So we try to keep those traditions alive, doing namaskaram after class to the guru. Those are some things that I think, at least some part of it, we try to maintain from the old parampara, our culture, from where it came from.
Awesome. Thank you. How do you, I mean, you get kids of all ages, like kindergartners all the way to high schoolers, even adults, some of us came to you. How do you stay patient when a student, irrespective of the age, struggles or loses motivation?
Great question, because I am not a patient person by nature at all. I have tried to develop it over the years slowly. Some of my students may still tell you that I'm not really very patient with them, but every kid, I try to look at each kid as a separate entity, right? If it's a group class, it doesn't mean that they're always going to be singing in a group, and or not even that every kid is the same, the way they grasp the music. So some kids do it a little slower, some kids move a little faster. So I try to help them by trying to see how your voice is and what you need to do to improve or reach the level of, say, another kid who has an easy voice, whose voice is more flexible, can probably catch it much easier. Try not to let the other child fall behind or start feeling demotivated. I try to help them, okay, this is your voice. So you need to practice like this. These are your strengths. These are your weaknesses. So each kid, I love all my kids equally. And I try to teach each of them separate. I keep telling them, you're not going to be always singing as a group. So don't come into class, say, thinking that, okay, I'll hide behind, another child's voice. So each of you have to learn it individually for yourself. So you perform as if you are performing individually. You come into class thinking that I need to know everything. I'm not going to hide behind another child's voice. So these are some of the things that I try to tell each of them individually, so that they feel more confident singing.
That's awesome. What do you think you learn from the students that you teach?
Patience, definitely patience.
Yeah, no, that's a biggie.
But there is a lot of other things also that you learn from the children. Like while you're teaching them, right, you discover so many new things that you never. Sometimes you just sing, you take things for granted and you sing it a certain way. It's an eye opener when you hear the kids sing back, and it is completely different from what you thought you are singing. What they hear and what you sing may not be the same thing. It is you learn a lot of things. You kind of analyze what you are singing when you teach it to the kids. So teaching will teach you a lot of things.
Right. And how to get the message across, right? Like we sometimes we have to
Yes,
tweak the
yes.
technique to
It's
get the
very
message across.
challenging.
That's but at the same time rewarding when they go on to grow up and become good musicians for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely.
What advice do you give to adult learners like myself returning to music after many years of gap?
I would say there's no age limit for learning. You can learn Carnatic music at any age. I had students start at the age of 50. My mother had students who started at the age of, way past 50. So it just depends on your interest and passion. There is no age limit at all for starting to learn.
What are
Okay.
your favorite voice warm-up exercises for students before class or during their practice time at home?
I would say akaram by far the best thing they can do for voice flexibility, speed, everything. Akaram is definitely my number one go-to.
Got it. Can you demonstrate a tiny piece of an akaram? What would that look like? What would a student have to do?
So I generally tell them, if you have no time to do anything else, at least do janta varise.
Okay.
So that movement and that varise. So those things, the movement, up and down movements, the janta swarams, the double swarams. Actually, akaram for all the varisais will definitely help. Not just that, even for varnam, if you do nokori, you can do it in akaram. As far, and you can keep gradually increasing your speed and going faster. So all of that is really challenging for your voice, and definitely increases flexibility.
Flexibility. Okay, got it. Thank you. Thank you so much. That sounded really beautiful.
Thank you.
How can students develop better breath control for long phrases?
Like in holding swarams, each
Mm.
swaram they can hold for. I sometimes have it as a game in my class. I ask them to hold, and see, I tell them, let's see who holds it the longest, and they will immediately get very competitive. Little kids love all those. So every holding every swaram, sometimes they can time it to see how long they're holding it, and try to do even longer the next time. As they challenge themselves, the breath control also will definitely increase.
Got it, got it. It's like, you take a saw and then hold that saw for like a
Hold that
prolonged
saw for
time
as long as you
as
can.
you can
Keep it
without
steady each
faltering. Yeah,
shruti. Yeah, yeah, without oscillating. Keep it as steady as you can. So it has multiple benefits
got it.
for shruti also. When you hold it for long, and you're in shruti, you can see whether you're starting and ending at the same point. So there are a lot of benefits to it, along with breath control for sure.
Understood. What does a good practice look like versus just simply time spent practicing? You could be spending 4 hours practicing and not really get much out of it,
Yeah.
versus you could be like spending an hour. So the
I
quality versus
usually
quantity.
absolutely great question, because sometimes kids do that. They will practice. They will say, "I practiced all 7 days, auntie,"
Mm-hmm.
and they will do that for months, but no improvement, or they'll forget stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to have them make a practice plan,
Mm.
so that they know exactly what they have to practice. Because sometimes what happens, this has happened to me when I was a child as well. I would sit down to practice, and then I will be like, okay, let me sing this song because this is my favorite. So
Favorite,
I will just
yeah.
pick a few favorite kritis or things that are easy, and I'll just do that over and over. As a result, many of the other things get left behind.
Mm.
So I usually have them make a plan so that they cover every lesson that has been taught, depending on how many lessons they've done. So go in a cycle and keep cycling through every lesson, so that they don't forget lessons. So that will kind of help them keep stay on track.
What should students do during the practice to self correct when you are not there in their living room?
Sure. Yeah, that's something actually this generation can easily do. I tell them to record their voices. Everybody has a device. Even the younger kids have some phone or some recording device. So, so I tell them to record their voice, and then listen to their own singing. That
Mm-hmm.
that's an eye opener actually. They don't realize what mistakes they are making. I also ask them to compare it with either my recording, or I
Mm.
have them record things multiple times. These days, I'm having them record every item multiple times, so that they can compare where they are, say, 6 months down the line,
Mm-hmm.
from what they were singing today, or from the time when they learned that kriti. So I think just listening to their voices and seeing where they're making mistakes definitely helps them.
Awesome, awesome. What would be your one piece of advice to parents? I have a small child myself and I have a lot of ambition. Like, I have ambitious goals for him, like how I
Yes,
want him to be a successful musician. Whether he'll get there or not, it's purely
absolutely.
up to him. But,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
a parent like myself, what do you tell them?
Many parents, as soon as the kids come, they will say, "Oh, when is their performance? Are they going to be performing?" So I tell them patience, definitely they need to have a lot of patience for the kids to get the time to learn, practice, and then persevere with it as well. So, because in 2 years, if they don't perform, then the parents are like, okay, this is not the art form for them, then they will move on to something else. So, it
Mm,
definitely requires practice by the child, patience from the parents, and perseverance from both of them. So, I would say all three P's are definitely required. So that is the advice I would give to parents. I know every parent wants their child to shine, and it is not unreasonable, but definitely they need to have a lot of patience.
right, right. And I think performing in 2 years is probably not even a right goal to have to begin with, right? Like, it's especially with the music and dance form, Indian
Right.
classical music forms. You are in this for a long, long haul. So
Definitely.
I would like to touch on Anuswara. School of Music. Can you tell us a little bit more about your, school and what are the typical events that you conduct on a yearly basis, just for everybody's
Definitely.
knowledge?
Yes. Mainly my annual days are are everybody sings. So where the one place where all of my students perform is the annual day, like most of the schools here. So I started my school in 2011, and since then it's grown quite a bit, and quite a few kids have graduated and gone. I recent years I've started conducting smaller graduation concerts and arangetrams, depending on how the child is, how the child's skill level is, and what time, how much time they have to prepare for this kind of an event. So last year, one of my children, she performed a 3 hour arangetram. The previous years, we had a shorter arangetrams by a few kids. So this year, I have 4 kids performing their arangetram.
Oh, wow.
Other than that, a lot of kids get opportunities in the Bay Area. There is a big community, and there is
Right.
no dearth of opportunities. There is like Navratri. So
Yes.
many temples conduct all these performances. So I send the kids to perform there. So all year round, there's actually a lot of competitions and events that my kids also go to. So there's no. I mean, music is like really a big thing here in the Bay Area. Carnatic music.
Right.
I'm very happy about it, actually.
Awesome. That's fantastic. Now we will move on to a rapid fire round. What's your favorite performance?
Ah, it's actually not a rapid fire answer.
It's
There have
okay.
been quite a few. There was one performance when I was in my early teens in an Ayyappa temple,
Mm-hmm.
with an audio. There was some festival. It was like a crowd of 500 people there. I was just asked to sing, and I was like, I don't even know if all of these people will even because it was Delhi. They will understand Carnatic music. I don't know if they are going to be bored. I had all these concerns, and I was very nervous. But I sang a Ragam Tanam Pallavi, and
Oh,
I
wow.
saw so much appreciation from the crowds. It was like a thrilling performance for me. I never expected that, and that bigger crowd, and they all cheer because I was very young as well. So they
Mm-hmm.
were like cheering me on, and it was like a very thrilling performance for me. That is one that stands out.
Awesome. Awesome. What is your dream performance in future?
Possibly a 3 generational concert with my
Oh,
mother, me, and my daughter. We'll see.
please invite me. I would love to be there.
Yes, absolutely.
What goals do you have for Anuswara School of Music?
Definitely, the main goal I feel is I want the alumni kids to come back to
Mm,
learn,
mm.
and that's already happening. So that tells me that I have lit that spark of interest in them. So that's currently my main goal.
Awesome. What is the one misconception or a myth that you would like to break about Carnatic music?
I feel like a lot of parents, when they bring their children, they tell me, I wanted to learn when I was a child, and
Mm,
so I'm bringing my children in. I feel like people feel that their only children can pick up Carnatic music
mm,
as a
mm.
child and not as an adult. So I think that's a myth that is not true at all. I feel like people can learn at any age. Your moms like yourself, you can come and learn. So many people can come and learn at any age. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now that's a great answer. If you have a dream that you couldn't fulfill, please don't put that on the kids. Rather, you go learn it yourself. It's essentially what you're saying. What are the
Correct.
three most important things every Carnatic student should focus on during their daily practice?
First two, definitely Shruti and Shruti Mata Laya Pita is a saying, right? Shruti and Talam. Those two are the top two they have to focus on. And third, I would say again, Akaram is definitely great for your voice flexibility.
Awesome. You might have already answered some of this, but I'll ask anyway. How can beginners improve their Shruti alignment and stay on the pitch more consistently?
As I told you, they're holding the swarams and all of that. But even before that, they need first the ears need to get trained. So that just simply comes from our Saralivarse, Jantavarse. It's all very scientifically constructed. The Saralivarse, the complexity of the swarams go up slowly. You just sing the plain notes first, and then you go up and down, and then you do the Jantavarse, which is double swarams. So it's all very scientifically built, so that by the end of that, the kids kind of get a sense of Shruti. Their ears start recognizing Shruti. Just singing the sa pa sa every class. So, after the first year, second year, the kids start getting better at even singing Sapa Sa, and the varices in place. So without even them realizing, slowly their ears are getting trained. So
Got
I
it.
think once they can tell that they are doing it wrong, then they can start correcting. The holding
Correcting.
these swarams will not help unless they know that they are doing it wrong.
They get
So
yeah.
once they recognize that, okay, I'm not in Shruti, then they can come and fix it. So
Correct.
I
Correct.
feel like first the ears you need to wait for the ears to get trained.
Right. No, that's amazing. The listening skill, which is something so important, yet it's not discussed enough. How would you recommend that somebody develops a listening skill?
Yes, this is has been something that I've been constantly telling my students, more so in recent years, because I feel like they are not listening to enough Carnatic music. Because all the time they will be listening to Western music a lot. Carnatic music is something that they have to put in an effort to start listening to, especially because our music is so much, there is so much of the manodharma part to our music, which actually cannot be taught 100%, right? If you teach a raga alapane one day, the next time you teach it, it will be a completely different raga alapane. You cannot
Mm.
replicate the same raga alapane. So for them to learn raga alapanes, they can do it more by listening to other people sing. So for that purpose, so before they reach that level, I feel like they should start listening to a lot of concerts, and not just manodharmam, also the finer nuances of the gamakams as well,
Mm.
right? So we can't teach every single gamakam. Many of them will just seep in while listening. The more you listen, I have seen a marked difference between kids who are listening constantly and those who are not been listening. They will just
Mm.
reproduce what you teach in class. Those finer nuances will automatically come to those kids who are listening more often, more regularly.
And listening intently, right? Like it's just listening, not by being distracted and doing
Intently,
something
it's
else.
such an important part of our music.
Right. Absolutely.
Yes, yes, that focused listening also has to be there. And I actually also tell them just keep playing music in the background while you're doing your homework. So that also helps to a certain extent. But some part of it should be some focused listening as well.
Listening. Okay, great. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Savita. This has been a wonderful conversation. I learned a lot more about you than I knew. Before we end the interview, any final words for those who are watching this video?
Yes. So all I will say is Carnatic music is something. It's not just for doing concerts. It's a way of life,
Hmm?
and it calms you down. It has so many benefits. Even these children, I feel, should use it more as a de-stressor. And when this stressful life everybody is undergoing these days, it's a great way to de-stress. So I hope more and more kids start learning. And our Bay Area has been such a great community in encouraging Carnatic music. I'm very fortunate to be here, and
Right.
hopefully, yeah, more and more kids will start learning and enjoying and appreciating Carnatic music.
Absolutely. That's a great message. In fact, I think that, a lot of parents, if they personally don't have a Carnatic background or if they don't come from a family where they grew up listening to Carnatic music, they think that it's not for them or it's not for their
Yes,
kids, right? So I
correct.
think that's a myth that could be broken, and it's for everybody. Everybody should learn music. And it's actually, like you said, it's more of a spiritual journey that touches several aspects of your life. And I recently read a study that said kids with the ADHD and kids with the distraction problems, if you actually put them through Carnatic music, basic verses lesson. This was a scientific study published by University of Delhi. I came across it and I had to read it. And
I actually wanted to talk about that
yes,
because
please. Yeah, now is an
I
opportunity.
have I have a couple of students I had in Boston, and I have differently abled children, a couple of them.
Okay.
Yes, so I would actually like to teach more kids like that, because
Mm-hmm.
the child, the child that I taught in Boston had such a great voice. He had other issues, but while singing, he would be like a confident person. I really enjoyed teaching him. And then I am currently also teaching another child who learned when his brother used to learn, and he would listen to those recordings of mine, and suddenly his mom found that he's been singing Shakti Sahita Ganapatim and all of those songs even before he could form the words. He would not be able to form the words, but he would sing the tune. And she sent me the recordings, and I was amazed at how much in Shruti he was without having learned anything. Even now, I just do like a 5-10 minute class for him. I sing, and if he feels like it, he will sing along with me. And if not, he will just listen. So it's an amazing experience. I definitely agree that there is it. I think will definitely help kids who are differently abled, and I would love to teach more kids
like that. And then apparently that study said that it calms the nerves of kids who are going through other external physical and mental issues, that it's such a great
Yes.
tool that everybody needs to tap into, and it's not being fully tapped into at the moment. Thank you so much, Savita. It was a pleasure talking to you, and we'll be in touch. Thanks.
Thank you for having me in your show, Deepa. Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining me today. If this inspired you, please like, share, and subscribe.